Hello folks, and welcome to the Oileánach Knits podcast. It has been a while. I don't think I've recorded since before Christmas, and I have a lot of updates to share with you. So I'm currently in Oileánach Wool Market, which is the local yarn shop and studio that I'm opening here in Bonavista, Vista, Newfoundland tomorrow. So when this goes live, actually, it'll probably be the day of the opening. So I'll have links below for anyone who wants to check that out. We're gonna have a lovely, beautiful shop front here in Bonavista, Vista, Newfoundland. It has stained glass, and I have a dye kitchen, and it's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. So I'd love for you to come and visit, but if you want to shop online, we've got an online shop as well. So yeah, so many updates, because I think actually, you know what, I'm just gonna go turn off the fan that's in the dye kitchen, because that's probably annoying. Okay, I'm not gonna redo it because I'll forget everything I just said. Yeah, so the last time I was up on here, I think I should have watched it before because I don't remember what I was saying, but I think the general consensus was that I had been knitting for commissions through most of the fall, and it had really, really taken a number on me. I'm not a very fast knitter, and so it was just a lot. It was a lot trying to kind of keep up with it and to feel like I had... Sorry, someone just walked past. I'm right in like the front shop window, and someone just walked past making direct eye contact. Yeah, so in the winter, I tried to do commission orders, and it was something I really wanted to be able to do because I love the idea of knitting sweaters for people. I love that idea. But I'm a very slow knitter, and I just could not keep up with the orders, and I just really didn't feel like I was doing my best work. I missed designing, and I wanted to be... I have ADHD, so I don't know why I thought I could like knit the same thing over and over again and find that fulfilling. But anyway, yeah, so I wound up getting carpal tunnel pretty bad, and so I was kind of out of knitting for most of the winter, which was a real bummer. I can't imagine spending a winter without knitting. It was a bit of a dark time for me, actually. Yeah, and then, you know, the initial shop plans that I had were kind of falling apart and things weren't working out. And so I actually thought for a while that I wasn't going to be able to have a shop, but serendipitously, the opportunity presented itself in a really like low stress situation in like the perfect little tiny shop space, and so here I am opening a shop tomorrow. It's been a lot of hard work. It was really a kind of last minute thing where I got offered this commercial space for, you know, a really good rate, but very last minute. So I basically got the call asking if I wanted to use this space like 2.5 weeks ago, and maybe it was 3 weeks, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it was a very short period of time, and I was not sure at first. I was like, I can't take that on, it's too quick, and I don't like have the money to make this happen. But yeah, managed to get it together, and it's pretty stressful, but really worth it, I think. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to show you a little tour. So I'm gonna film a little tour to show you around the place. This is my favorite thing. I made there was like a chalkboard wall here, but I didn't really feel like I wanted that, so I put together this little cork board wall for all my design swatches. And I really love it. It makes the place feel very much like it was the finishing touch that made it really feel like my space, which is really exciting. Anyway, so that's a bit of babbling, but I'll give you a little tour of the shop, and then I'd like to show you a little bit of what I got in the shop and a little bit of what I've been working on. So yes, as I say, I didn't do a lot of knitting this winter. And what I did do is mostly like catching up on back orders of my knitwear that I did the commissions for that I was just talking about. So it was mostly that. It didn't really get into much design work until a little while ago. I started on this sweater, and I'll be putting out the test call for this pretty soon, I think, but I've just about run out of yarn for it, and so I'm kind of waiting to like at least get the yarn in my possession that I need to finish it. But this is one I've been talking about and showing little samples of for a few years now, actually. It took a while for me to kind of like, sometimes this happens with me where I'll come up with like the basic idea for the design, and then it takes me a long time to go from that to the actual, like actually knitting it, because it takes me a long time to kind of like perfect the design, I suppose. Without further ado, this is my Baron's sweater, and I love her. It's got lots of, it's got the, oh my gosh, what's the word? Corrugated ribbing on the cuff and the bottom, and it'll have it on the bottom of the sleeve as well. And it's got lots of like tiny color work, and then this kind of like bigger color work section, and then some little texture in there, and I love it. I'm so excited to wear it, even though it's like starting to warm up now, but I live in Bonavista, Vista, which is a place where you will always have the opportunity to wear wool at all times of year. Yeah, so this was really inspired. I did a video when I had my Patreon going a couple years ago, explaining like where the design came from and waxing poetic about it a little bit. Maybe I'll share that when this design comes out on YouTube. But yeah, this design is all about there's a landscape in Newfoundland called the Barrens, and it is barren, if you hadn't guessed that part. And I've been very creatively inspired. I've been very creatively inspired by that landscape for a long time now. Written lots of poetry and nonfiction about it, and it's similar to what you would call a moor or a heath, or I can't remember other words for it now, but definitely like what you would call a moor or a tundra. It's actually a subarctic tundra is the like technical name on it, but in Newfoundland we call them the Barrens, and it's not just one specific place, it's the type of landscape. And so I wanted to highlight how from a distance the landscape looks very like self-similar and flat and sort of empty and barren, but when you get closer there's like so much texture and there's so much intricacy, and it's so vibrant. And so I wanted to kind of play with scale in this design, and I really like how it turned out. I actually have the first swatch I knit right behind me here, so it's changed a little since then, but I like where it is. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this one. It's knit with 2 strands of Plotilopi held together, and I think that's the first time I've actually knit with that combination, and it's so light and soft, and like it's got a real like bounce to it, which I love. I mean, I've knit with Plotilopi and Letlopi tons of times before, so I won't go too deep into my love for it. But yeah, I'm feeling really excited for this one, even though it feels like more of a deep winter garment, but that's okay. Yeah, so actually on the topic of Let Low Be, one thing I found really interesting about getting the shop set up is like, I guess just how it works getting wholesale yarns to have in a shop like this, and like needles and tools and stuff. It's been actually really quite complicated, and I'd never heard of any of this before now, and so I found it really like interesting, and like I wish I'd known a bit more about it. But yeah, I don't know if this interests you or if you've ever dreamed of opening a yarn shop, there's a lot of really strange, like, I'm sorry if you can hear that window kind of rattling. It's very windy out today and it's an old building. But yeah, so ordering, for example, yarn from a brand you like, a lot of the yarns that I'm working with, I've just kind of been able to deal directly with the company owners, and that's been fairly simple. But with a lot of like international brands or like the bigger brands, they'll have like sales representatives, and so you talk to the sales representative for your area, and they're constantly like trying to upsell you stuff you don't want, and like it's like, I don't know, I've really disliked this whole process. There were a lot of like yarns that I wanted to bring in but didn't because their sales representatives were so pushy, or there's also a lot of like rules about having to order specific quantities. Like you have to order like $2,000 worth of this yarn in order to be able to access it at all. And like as a small yarn shop just starting out, that was not a possibility for me. So I do not have Let Low Be in my shop, which is kind of shocking given how much I love Let Low Be and Ploty Low Be. Because I didn't have like $2,000 for one brand, you know what I mean? And also like Let Low Be has gone up in price so much. Even like, I mean, I've noticed it from a person buying it from a retail shop ever since I've like gotten into knitting, and that's only over 4 years. Like I only started knitting. I bought my first skeins of Ploty Low Be in 2020. Or probably 2021 actually, by the time I got into Let Low Be. That's a pretty big difference. Yeah, and then like the amount people are selling it for in shops is not like what the suggested retail price is. They're like dropping the price considerably because it's gotten so expensive in such a short amount of time, which is pretty wild. So I do not have Let Low Be in my shop, in case you were wondering. I would like to someday because I love it and I love knitting with it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. I have, however, got an Icelandic base that I've been dyeing on, so more on that to come. Here is another project that I've been working on. This is the Claddagh sock. So if you'll remember the Claddagh sweater I put out back in December, which was a collaboration with Uist wool mill in Scotland, in the Outer Hebrides. That was such a total joy to knit and to create, and I really loved the pattern, and I thought it would make a great pair of socks. So this is the progress I've made so far. I've been knitting these with 2-trad Gammelserie from Rauma, which is a great sock yarn. I knit my original Happy Trails natural sock out of this yarn, and they are like, they're over a year old now, and they show no signs of wear, which is wild because I wear my knit socks all the time. Yeah, so that's this little guy. I also don't have this yarn in my shop. I'm gonna have to start knitting with yarns that I have in my shop all the time because, yeah. But anyway, I started both of these projects before I even knew I was gonna have a shop, so yeah. So I don't have Rauma in my shop, even though I'd really like to, and I probably will at some point, but The very lovely Leah from Stitch Craft Co. in St. John's has lots of Rauma in her shop. And so if you are a Newfoundland knitter and you want to find some Rauma, she has some of this two-track gamelserie, then you can go find Leah at Stitch Craft Co. She also has a podcast. Yep, so that's basically the only two knits I've been working on lately. I'm just like finally getting over the carpal tunnel, not trying to go too crazy with it. I've been reading a lot lately, so I haven't been spending as much time knitting, which is wild. I do also have a fun little project though that I have been getting into. I saw a friend of mine had some really cool hand-woven coasters a little while back when she was having like a crafternoon at her house, and so I wanted to try it out, and I basically found the instructions for a little cardboard loom on the internet, and I've actually been loving it. It's so much fun, and I've got some finished coasters here that I'll show you instead of just the one that's still on there. So this is like a little set of coasters. I think they're so fun, and I don't know, I've got them in the shop. This is one I really like the pattern on this one. So the reason I started doing this is because I wanted to find something to do with all the scraps I have of my naturally dyed yarns, because I've just got like boxes of little itty bitty skeins of the little samples I've taken. And so I wanted to find something fun to do with them, and I think these are the fun thing I'm gonna do with them. Here's another little set, and here's one that's, this one's still on the loom here. So my loom is obviously not doing super good. I keep having to tape it back together because it like eventually folds, and then I lose my tension. But anyway, this has been a really fun project, and I'm on the lookout for some kind of small loom like this that's not made of cardboard to have in the shop. So I will hopefully eventually have some of these supplies in the shop in case these are of interest. And the other project I've been doing a lot more of is spinning. So I'm also like not a very fast spinner. So these are some little skeins that I've spun up of an Icelandic top that I got around Christmas time. I think I remember showing you a little basket of little 50-gram samples of different breeds, just to learn more about different breeds of sheep and how they spin up and stuff. And so I've got most of the Icelandic one done. I actually have it all spun, I just haven't done all the plying, because plying on a drop spindle is no fun. I love spinning on a drop spindle, but plying on a drop spindle is the worst. So yeah, here's this little guy. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I think like if I look at even like the first one of these that I did compared to the last one is so much more consistent, and like the first kind of skein that I've spun up compared to these it's wild how much easier it gets and how much more consistent. So yeah, I'm really pleased with these little puppies. Not totally sure what I'm gonna do with them yet, because in the end I'll only have 50 grams. And it's spun up at a DK. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna have enough to make maybe like a little scarf or something. But I'm very pleased with them. It's been very fun. And I've just finished processing 3 fleeces that I was given as a gift for participating in a festival in St. John's a few weeks ago. The Heritage Newfoundland and the Sheep Producers of Newfoundland and O'Brien's Farm, which is a heritage farm, they all kind of collaborated on making a sheep to sock festival where basically demonstrators were there to show every step of the process on the way through from they had sheep shearing demonstrations, and there was a baby lamb who was 10 days old. And I got to cuddle him a lot. I actually barely gave him back in the end. And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So that was thrilling. It was beautiful. I'm gonna cry thinking about that baby lamb. But yes, they did some shearing demonstrations, and then there were carders. I was one of the carders. I was doing little roll legs with my, still have the basket of them here somewhere. Little roll legs with my hand carders, which are up behind me. And there was an artist there with a drum carder. And it was absolutely wild to see, like, in the space of time it took her to drum card a nice thick thing of roving, I had like one little tiny roll leg done. So I'm definitely thinking about a drum carder now, which I can totally not afford, but I would really like to have one. In part because one of my goals for the shop is to be processing local fleece for spinners. So I think a drum carder would make that so much easier, and I think a lot more people know how to spin from a roving as opposed to rolegs, so I feel like that would be maybe better. But anyway, I digress. So yes, there were people there demonstrating carding, there were people there demonstrating spinning, there were people demonstrating a couple of other things like felting and darning, which I thought was really cool to have like a darning workshop there, and knitting, possibly other things. I was kind of like supposed to be at my station the whole time, so I didn't really get to see a lot, but every now and then I'd wander off to just like hold a baby lamb or like see what everybody else was up to. So I don't know if you've ever done a lot of hand carding with the hand carders, but like 6 to 8 hours is a lot of time to spend doing that. It made my arms very sore. But yeah, it was a really beautiful event, and they gave me a feed sack stuffed with fleece as a thank you for participating, and that was beautiful. And yeah, so I've got 3 of these Suffolk crossed with Rideau Arcot fleeces, and they're so soft and lovely, and I'm very excited to start playing with those a little bit, and hopefully maybe have some of those, like some fiber from that available too in the shop. I've got leads on some local Shetland to have in the shop as well, and there is a local Romanov. I don't know if he has more than one of the Romanov, but I've got some fleece from that, and it's gorgeous. So yeah, I really hope to kind of make, got some little baggies done up with some lovely local fleece that I hope people will be excited about. This is from a black Welsh mountain crossed with a cheviot, and it's got lovely like rusty brown tips. Yeah, so I hope to have some gear for spinners as well. And while we're on the topic, I've got these lovely, like genuinely artful drop spindles from a woodworker in St. John's, David Press, and they're gorgeous, and he put a hook on both ends very thoughtfully so that people can try top and bottom whirl and decide what they like better, which I thought was really fun. And so he's making them all unique, so they all have like a totally different look to them, which is really fun. I'm actually already almost sold out. This is the only one I have left right now, but there's another batch ready for me to pick up this week. They're so lovely. So yes, these are really exciting. He also has some darning mushrooms for me over there, and he's working on preparing yarn bowls and crochet hooks with like the bulb ergonomic handles. Yeah, so that's very exciting. Yeah, so I guess that's a good time to transition into some of what I've got in the shop. I obviously have my natural dyes, and I've got a few extra bases going on right now. I've got another delivery of a base for dyeing that should be here today, which is so exciting. And yeah, so I've got, as bases, I'm not going to run through them all right now. They'll be on the shop website. You can just have a look through them. But I did pick out a few colors that I felt excited about to show you. Oops, there's no way this is gonna... okay, this basket was a bad idea. Yeah, so here are just a few colors to show you on the Icelandic base, which is what I've mostly been dyeing up this week, which feels exciting. These feel a little washed out, probably because the light is behind me, but that's okay. To highlight, we've got some lovely rich browns. We've got some absurd blue greens. We've got a nice bright yellow with some variegation, which is fun. We've got a peachy pink, which is the same color as the shops outside, and some nice, you know, mustard. So I've got mostly a gray base for this one, but I had a few skeins of the white as well. So most of them will be variegated, but some of them are a little clearer from the white base, which is fun. And I've still got some of my rustic merino sport, which is what I had in my last shop update, as well as just some other bits and bops. I've got like some like leftovers from other dye lots that I've done. So there's like a worsted from that and a sport single from that, and a few things where I'm trying out a new dye base, and so there's like 5 or 6 skeins. But the main ones are the Icelandic worsted and the rustic merino sport, and I've got a fingering weight BFL Massam on the way. And then I've also started working with some embroidery threads. So I've got this 100% linen 3-ply embroidery thread. So these are the two colors that are already kind of packaged up here. We've got like a tealy blue-green and a nice like toffee color here. And there are more coming, but this only just kind of arrived, and so I've just started dyeing it up. But yeah, so we have our embroidery threads, very exciting. Oh, I think the light just changed. No, it's fine. Sun's kind of peeking in and out of clouds, so here's what it is. Another thing I'm very excited about on the local front, we have got this very beautiful local alpaca. So this yarn, the alpacas live in Kilbride, just outside of St. John's, the city, and this was spun up in Cape Breton, so that's actually quite close considering where Newfoundland is. If you take the ferry out of Newfoundland, the next point of land you reach is Cape Breton. So that's where you land, and that's where this was spun, which is pretty good in terms of like local, because you know there's no wool mill in Newfoundland or on Newfoundland. I'm working on that. I'm still working on it. It's coming. Yes, this is from Black Label Farm. It is mixed with some merino. It is 3-ply, 100 grams, 315 yards. Can't remember what that is in meters. But I actually rate this as a DK, even though it says fingering on it. And it's beautiful, lovely white creamy color. And I think this is gonna, sell out quite quickly, because this is the one and only yarn that is produced in Newfoundland at this point. That's huge. It's the only local yarn we have, and it's like coming from a small maker, very small farm, and it's so exciting. And I only have 10 skeins, so get on this if you're interested. Yeah, and so some of the other yarn that I have, the only order that's come in so far is the Retrosaria Rose Pomar, which I'm so excited to bring to Newfoundland. I think a lot of people here, like, there's not a lot of access here to yarn brands in person or even like locally at all. So out in Bonavista, the only other yarn option is Briggs & Little, available at the hardware store. And I don't know if I've complained to you about Briggs & Little before, but I am not a fan. I dislike any kind of yarn company that just blends every single breed together and like washes the crap out of it so it feels brittle and like there's no, you don't get any of the like specifics from any of the breeds because they're all just mixed in together. It's very harsh, and it's like, it's so dense and like felted together that I don't know. Anyway, I just don't like it. So I thought I would go as far from that as possible and get some minimally processed merino from Portugal. It's not all merino, and it is not like mass breeding merino. It is small flock, single source, and like not just like vague merino. It's all like native sheep breeds to Portugal. So there's a lot of different breeds that are within it. So the yarns that I have so far are Mondim, which is known as a sock yarn. I'm really excited to try this. I haven't gotten the chance to try it yet because, as you may have noticed, I am a little bit like hectic busy right now. But I very much intend to take some of this home and try it out for a pair of socks, and I can't wait. It comes in really beautiful colors. All of the Retrosaria colors are just gorgeous. They're all very like earthy. They do actually have some really like vibrant, bright electric color ones that are probably more hip, but I didn't order those. And Brusca, which is the DK to worsted. I'll show you the label here because the labels are really cool. And this is just a real like nice rustic yarn, but it's also soft, and yeah, I love this. It's so nice. Also the colors, once again, amazing. I actually did a little swatch with this. So this is a swatch for a sweater that I designed it back in this time last year, actually, when I was doing my artist residency. It's for lichens. And yeah, so this is knit with the Brusca, and I am really stoked about it. It's really beautiful. So yeah, those are the yarns that I've got in so far from other makers, and I've got quite a variety of colors. More to come. Yes, more to come. I've got lots of interesting things on the way, but that is all that's arrived so far. In terms of yarn, I've got lots of other things. I'm not going to show you everything I've got in the shop because I don't feel like it, and you can just go to my website and have a look. Yeah. Wow, I feel like I really just kind of powered through that, but yeah, it's been a pretty wild process getting everything together, even though I didn't have like a ton of time to do so, and I've got lots of exciting stuff coming. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take off again really soon because so much to do, but I just wanted to kind of pop back on here. I know I haven't podcasted in a really long time, and I don't know, I kind of wanted to reach back out to the community and see how everybody's doing, and invite you to come and visit my shop. Yeah, I hope you are having a nice time out there. I hope the spring is being kind to you, and yeah, hope to chat soon. Enjoy this yarn shop tour.